Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zack Brown, and joining with me, as always, is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad, Jeff Brown. Dad, a lot to go. Recap from Darlington. It's All-Star Week in the NASCAR Series. Wilkesboro's back on it for the second year in a row. Excited to see this one. A bunch of action in high limit, Outlaws, and to preview those races coming up this week. And we obviously forgot about IndyCar last week, so we'll touch on that, talk about a little bit of Indy 500 practice. NHRA is back this week, so a big-time episode for you. So let's dive right in, recap Throwback Weekend at Darlington. All three series raced there. And Ross Chastain kicks it off the weekend, gets a big-time win in the Truck Series after we picked Kyle Busch, and he wrecked lap 2. And he just said he's like, I don't know what happened. He said it just snapped on him coming off the turn. And
I know what happened. Jeff and Zach picked me.
Oh yeah, that's what happened. And Justin Allgaier finally gets a win in the Xfinity Series, and
he kind of stunk that race up.
Yep, and well, the Cup Series, we're going to talk about that one obviously a lot more. Brad Keselowski snaps his 110 winless streak. Finally gets a win for his own organization. Awesome to see Brad back in victory lane. And it was actually a really, really good race overall. It was a little bit slow to start off for the first two stages, but that third stage was really exciting. A lot of stuff was happening at Darlington. And I think overall it was a really good weekend.
Yeah, it's just, I think the first couple stages, I think they were kind of riding just to sort of get to the end. And once they got, especially when they didn't really know what tire wear and things were going to be, especially, there was a little bit of issues in practice on different things. So I think they were kind of easy on things for a while. But yeah, the last stage definitely heated up, and it's like we've been saying, it just, you get a track that just wears out the tires and everything. It just makes better racing,
Well, there was a lot of drama on the restarts especially, and it's hard to go too wide on these corners here at Darlington because the car wants to snap. You got to figure out which lane you got to go into. A lot of drivers got to use up both lanes. You go in a little bit high, you arc it back down in turns 1 and 2, and turns 3 and 4. Drivers went either like Tyler Reddick right against the wall, or how Keselowski was kind of in the middle right there. And Larson, for the longest time, he was the one really running the bottom. He was borderline on the cushion. And so there's a lot of different lanes there, 3 and 4. Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher get into it, and I actually applaud Tyler Reddick because he straight up said, I screwed up. I know I did. And you saw what he tried to do. He tried to dive it in, slide up in front of Chris Buescher. It didn't stick, and it stuck when he hit Chris Buescher. It wasn't an intentional hit, but I think it was a little premature of a move that he needed to do. I think if he waited another lap or two, he probably could have made that move happen.
Yeah, you can tell he don't run sprint cars. He don't know how to do a slide job on them. It just, he definitely... He ran it in, but I'm not, like you said, he wasn't close enough to really run it in. And I think he got halfway through the slide job and was like, oh, shit, this is not going to work. Yeah, I actually think he tried to not get into Buescher, and it wasn't going to happen. It was too late for that. And I get Chris Buescher being mad. It cost. He probably was going to win that race.
Yeah. It costed him. Yeah, it definitely cost both of them.
Top 3 at least, anyway.
Yeah, and I do think Brad had a good shot to catch them if they stayed side by side battling like that. Brad had the fastest, longest long run car, and
his car was really handling well.
It was, and this is the first win for Ford of the year after they came up literally 1/1000th of a second short last week. So Brad gets a win. He's locked into the playoffs, and I've been hearing it. I heard it from TJ Majors, especially. That's Brad's spotter. For those that don't know, they're on Door Bumper Clear, so shout out to them. I was listening to them today. You're going to see Brad go on a tear now, I think. He's got that monkey off his back now. You might see him getting multiple wins this year. And I mean, that's a great driver to see win. He's so humble now. He's so good for the sport. He literally turned an organization around from complete trash to being competitive each and every week. So it is so impressive to see that. And he literally left an organization where he could battle for championships. So he pretty much started all over again and brought them back on the map. and basically made Chris Buescher relevant again because he was not running well, and we were like, is he just a terrible driver? Or is it terrible equipment? Ends up being a terrible equipment, and
Yeah,
Brad
I was
literally
just
changed the
getting
whole.
ready to say everybody thought Chris Buescher was going to be a bust, and here Brad, whatever he saw in him and kept him with the organization and shoot, Chris Buescher's got what 3 wins in the last year or whatever.
Yeah, I think he won 3 last year. Yeah, and he
So
was
I
in
mean that's
contention for possible championship run last year.
yeah. So I mean good for Chris Buescher. He seems like he's sort of one of the nice guys at the sport. One of those things that everybody kind of don't mind seeing him win, whether you're a Ford, Chevy guy, this or that. It's
and it's
and Brad the same way. It's
that you saw the crowd how popular of a win that was at lots of cheers. I don't even think
it's good
you
for
heard
the
a boo.
sport for Brad to win. Honestly.
Well, I think people realize what he had to go through these last couple of years and how hard it was for him to go through, and how close he's been these last couple of years as well to get the win. He's had 5 second place finishes over the last couple of years, so we knew it was going to happen. We knew he was going to get a win. It wasn't going to be any time we picked him, but it was going to be at some point where he was going to get a win, and I just think it's awesome. And again, I think
him
you're
in
gonna.
my fantasy though.
I did too. Yep. You and I finished first and second, so you and I are actually pretty close in the overall standings now in fantasy. Bringing that up,
no I don't fantasy this much though.
Well, no fantasy this week because it's All-Star week, so there's no points anyways. But let's talk about the All-Star race. Let's get into North Wilkesboro. Oh, awesome track! This is an amazing track. Pass it on the way up to App State for the longest time. Weeds overgrowing trees, just tearing down the entire grandstands. Finally, Junior puts a little bit of money into it where iRacing does a scan, and it got so popular that Marcus Smith said, screw it, let's get this track back to where it needs to be. And this year is the first year on the new surface, and you're going to see a completely different race than you saw in the All-Star race last year. There's probably going to be multiple grooves, multiple racing grooves, and I think it could be potentially a decent race here. It's not going to wear out tires, but the All-Star race usually doesn't wear out tires anyways, the way they break up things anyways, and they try different strategies and different things that aren't necessarily part of the regular season anyways. So we'll see exactly what NASCAR has in store for this year's All-Star race. Before we talk about it, though, trivia question time. We are back at it this week for a trivia question. So who is the last non-Hendrick to win a race at North Wilkesboro Speedway? And that's not including like the All-Star Open and the All-Star Heat races, none of that. And I'll give you a hint, it's 1995.
Was it Earnhardt?
No, this is a Ford.
Okay. Mark Martin
for Roush in 1995 was the last non-Hendrick, because you had Terry Labonte and Jeff Gordon were the last ones right behind Larson from last year.
I saw Terry Labonte's win. We were actually at that race, and Earnhardt was second.
Yep, I think that was the spring race, and then the fall race was the Jeff Gordon win. So Jeff Gordon's still the last points winner at North Wilkesboro for a Cup race. Truck Series, this is actually a points race for the Truck Series. So,
I think the truck race is going to be a good race there this weekend.
I think it. The weather is the biggest factor right now, because it's a washout pretty much on the entire country right now. We've been following Indianapolis. It's a washout. It's a washout at North Wilkesboro. It poured down rain here. It's just raining everywhere. But late models race there, middle of the week. The rubber up the track, but it'll rain or wash off anyways. I don't think it'll really matter with brand new pavement anyways. But kind of talk about, how does new pavement affect these tracks, and what do you kind of expect out of Wilkesboro on this go round?
Well, it's funny. I was just thinking, I was like, I don't remember hearing anything really about the tire test that they had at North Wilkesboro. I'm assuming they had to have some people running.
And I saw it was Joey. It was Joey Logano, Ty Gibbs, Bubba.
Yeah, never really heard much about it, though, how it went or how fast they were.
I didn't really see all the details with it. I know the drivers were pleased. That's really all I know. But I didn't hear they didn't post too much about that, surprisingly.
The one thing, the tire test, they're going to be in a pretty conservative setup, I'm going to think. So how will setups change when they add more camber into the right front wheel? Is that going to wear the inside of the tires more than not? I don't think the midweek race is going to change. I think they run Hoosiers on the late model series, so I'm not sure how.
They do, and the cars late model, yeah.
I don't know how the different rubbers are going to, how if one affects the other one. I mean, it very well could, just completely different compounds on how they do things. So it could be. I think the trucks could be. Once the trucks go, they're going to have a similar compound as the Cup cars. So I think that's going to be better. But yeah, like you said, I think you're going to be able to see multiple grooves this time. Last year pretty much Larson stunk the whole thing. He won everything all last week. Trucks.
Yeah, and he was the one that kind of figured out. He went underneath all of the grooves.
Yeah,
he was literally on the
everybody thought they were running low, and he went under them.
And that's the only part that was, I guess, more on the conservative side on the tires and didn't wear them out as much. But yeah, this time you might see him change tires once in this race, unless NASCAR makes it a mandatory 4-tire pit stop or something. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same 200 laps this year, and I don't think they had stage breaks last year, if I'm correct.
Because they had different. It really wasn't a stage break, but they had different segments of the All-Star race.
I meant the feature. They have the heat. They have the two heats.
There wasn't any stage breaks in that.
So when it's 200 laps, they're not braking like they do in the normal races. So now it's really going to be fuel strategy. And
it could. I don't know. It might not make that much difference on that small of a track. I hope there's some kind of mandatory something they have to do. I hate to have it come down to fuel management. It's just.
Sometimes fuel management can be exciting, though. You never, especially on this type of track. It's kind of, if you let off too much, and somebody could really make up ground on you quick. But we'll see, and I think you might see a lot more bumping and banging this time. There's going to be a lot more equal for everyone with less tire wear. Even the drivers that aren't as skilled, they're going to be up in the contention, I think. You don't really have to wheel it too much, so it comes down to which cars are set up the best. We'll see if Larson can actually make this race. Kevin Harvick is on standby right now. As far as I know, I do kind of wonder. I obviously want Larson to be in it, but I am curious how they would race Harvick.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to work. Do they make a special exemption that Harvick can run because he's past winner or past champion?
And like we talked about last week, it's more than likely Hendrick's got it figured out. He wouldn't have made this call if he didn't have some stuff figured out, obviously. And I guess NASCAR news / IndyCar news this week, right before we give into our picks for North Wilkesboro, but I wanted to touch on this before we give our picks. Jimmy Johnson's doing a doubleheader with the Indy 500 and Coke 600, but not the way you'd usually think. Jimmy Johnson's going to be in the broadcast booth for the Indy 500. And I'm not sure if he's going to be in the actual main booth or one of those side booths that they have, they like tune into it in the middle of the race. We won't see it either way, but maybe we'll see Jimmy Johnson walking around. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe he'll join our live broadcast out in the parking lot. I'm sure 100%. He's all up for that.
That's actually what he's going to be on. What did I screenshot here? Yeah, that's really the biggest news that I had this week in NASCAR. So for picks, what we always do is give our power rankings heading into the All-Star race and post Darlington. So go ahead with your power rankings this week first.
Mine has got quite a bit of shakeup this week. So at number 5, I moved in this guy. Just been heartbreak. I had to put him in there. Chris Buescher at number 5. Could have easily had 1 win, possibly 2. An inch away from 1 win. Number 4, down 1 spot. I put Chase Elliott at 4. New this week.
3.
I had him in all. Yeah, but I got this week's winner, Brad Keselowski, and I got him in at number 3. Down 1 spot, I put Kyle Larson. He had a bad day. And number 1, I moved up Denny Hamlin. He's just been super consistent.
We got a very similar list. I don't have Chris Buescher in it, but he is honorable mention in mine. Number 5, I got Chase. The whole entire race, he was struggling, and he ended up in 12th.
He had a good finish.
somehow he ended. Well, it helped that some people crashed too.
Well, that's all
Number
part
4,
of it.
moving into the. I think it's the first time that I've had him in the power rankings. Brad Keselowski, the winner from Darlington. Number 3, I've got William Byron. I actually moved him up a little bit, finished solid top 10, starting to get back on that consistent basis that he's on. Number 2, down 1, Kyle Larson. If he would have finished off the way he was running at Darlington, obviously he would have stayed at number 1. It was it sucked to see him crash like that, especially that awesome paint scheme. But number 1, Denny Hamlin. It's seeming to come down to Denny Hamlin and Larson right now lately as the most consistent. And that's kind of where they shined last year about this point in the season. So, all right, power rankings are in. Truck Series and the Cup Series racing at North Wilkesboro this weekend. Who's your pick for the Truck Series race? I don't know if there are any Cup drivers racing in it.
Ross Chastain's running.
Chastain is racing in it? Okay.
I wanted to pick him, but I don't see him winning 2 in a row.
All right.
So
well,
I got to scroll back to where my picks are. Okay.
Almirola is racing.
Oh, well. But I got rookie Nick Sanchez.
Is he a rookie? I thought it was a second year.
So. I thought it had a yellow bumper on the back of his truck.
Well, his truck's yellow and black, so you might have seen.
Oh, maybe it was just yellow.
Anyway, I think he was a rookie. I think he was a rookie last year. All right. Well, I've got low-hanging fruit, but I got Christian Eckes on this one. All right, the All-Star race. Now, mind you, 3 of the last 5 All-Star races, the winner has been Kyle Larson. He's the first, I think, ever to win an All-Star race in 3 different tracks, mainly because it's always been at Charlotte. But but who do you got for your All-Star race winner?
So this one, we talked about him into my top 5. Poor guy. I think he's just going to go ham this week. I got Chris Buescher winning this one. No points. He's going to take out some frustration on some people.
You might see that, but
probably not.
I just don't see the Fords being as fast on the little 3/4 mile shorter tracks right now. I know it's a 3/8, but or whatever 5/8, whatever it is. I've got Denny Hamlin on this one. He's as good as there is on a short track. Brand new pavement. I think the Toyotas are going to be pretty quick this weekend. And Denny Hamlin actually is the favorite. I think he's like minus 675, so like beyond favorite on this one. Slight edge over.
Picks Joey Logano, so we're
that was my pick last year because I said if Joey goes well at new places,
new tracks.
And it's new pavement, so it would not shock me to see Joey win. But the Fords have not been that quick on the smaller tracks for whatever reason. But, I mean, they do have some momentum after Darlington. All right. Well, NHRA is back in action this week. They're at Route 66 Speedway. So get your 6 on Route 66. Talk about this track.
But it's right there where the, I guess now the Chicagoland Speedway is. It's all part of the same raceway park. So we're back to 2 wide racing again, and I believe I was trying to look it up. I didn't see it, but I believe this is an all concrete track, which is very fast. And I was looking at the track records. It's super quick. I think it's like 3.6 seconds for top fuel and 380 for funny car. So it's in 351.2 for pro stock. So it's quick. So. If conditions are right, they'll know what weather in the Midwest right now is going to be crazy, so it could vary a little bit. But I see it being, I could see the way the cars have been running this year. I could see all the track records, at least. I don't know about national records, but I see all or most, if not all, the track records falling this weekend.
Well, there'll probably be a lot of moisture in the air the way the weather's been this week.
That would definitely
Midwest.
hurt the power, especially in the naturally aspirated like pro stock and the motorcycles.
Yeah,
the nitro cars, they just spin the blower faster.
Let's be honest, it don't matter who's racing in motorcycles at this point. I know who we got on that one. So yeah,
he does have a track record.
And as we've been saying though, it's I don't know, pro stock there is kind of a lead horse right now. It's Greg Anderson. Started off with Erica and went to Greg Anderson. But the 2 Top Fuel series, it's really anybody's race at this point, and it's very competitive. It doesn't seem to really matter where you qualify anyways. You've seen a lot of low qualifiers get wins this year and move through the rounds. Tony Stewart being first full-time year in it, getting some round wins. He's knocking off stuff. Matt Hagan's coming up through, but it's really anybody.
Force
has
been fast. Austin Proc's been fast. Caps has been good. It's just
usually
it's
not. Yeah, usually it's not this many drivers that have
8-10 in each class that have a very good shot at winning.
Yeah, and that's great for drag racing and great for us to be watching it. So let's get in our picks for Route 66. Do we even need to say our motorcycle pick? It's Gage Herrera.
It's Gage Herrera.
Yeah.
Probably
all right. Who's your?
I don't even to say our pro stock pick.
Well, no, I don't. You don't have who I have.
Okay, I have Greg Anderson for pro stock. Funny car, I got John Forrest, and Top Fuel, I have Josh Hart.
Yeah, we have all different.
Okay.
All different. So my pro stock is Christian Quadra. He was in the finals of the 4-wide. He's been very fast, and it's the same. I believe that's Erica's teammate, so those things make power.
Now, is that the Ford? The Quadras have one Camaro and 3 Fords. I'm not sure which one is which.
I think it's the Camaro, but I'm not 100%.
I tell you what, they would be so excited if they get a national event win.
They definitely. They're knocking on the door. They definitely are. For Funny Car, getting another win for him this year, and probably the most impressive that I've been with is Austin Proc. And my Top Fuel, I didn't really expect him to make some noise this year, but he already has, and he's been fast. I've got Antron Brown.
Okay.
All right, so that does it for NHRA. One last.
This episode is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a live entertainment platform rethinking ticketing by caring more about their fans, teams, and venues. They are powering a new open entertainment industries where fans have effortless access to experiences in teams, venues, and shows, and have seamless access to their audiences. With trusted consumer marketplace and innovative enterprise ticketing technology, SeatGeek has what you need for any sporting event. Make sure you use my promo code ZBMedia to get $20 off your purchase from SeatGeek. That is ZBMEDIA from SeatGeek, $20 off. You can't beat that. Check them out now. Get your next concert, sporting event, or anything else from SeatGeek. Back to the show.
Last asphalt to touch on is the IndyCar recap. Not really a whole lot to recap because Alex Palou destroyed the field at the Indianapolis Grand Prix. But
like
the big talk is
California.
Well, the big talk is Will Power gets another second place finish, and I forget how many he has, like 36 over the last 2 years or something ridiculous. It's like the most in IndyCar history. So, not like I said, not a whole lot to really recap on that because he literally stunk up the field. We forgot about it last week, but we probably would have picked. No, we wouldn't have because we kept jinxing and we would have been like, no way he does well, and then he wins. But Indianapolis 500 practice got a couple laps in, literally a couple laps. It's been raining, but the fastest you say Newgarden ran a 2:29. Or no, Dixon.
Scott Dixon. Let's see here. I got it right here. Where do we go? Dixon led at 2:29.107. Wow, Marco Andretti was 2:28.
That shows you how much it probably doesn't really mean.
The Hondas are fast. Takuma Sato was third at 2:25. And Kyle Larson's teammate, Pato O'Ward, was fourth. He was the fastest Chevy at 2:24.9.
Did Larson get a full lap in?
It didn't say anything about he got any kind of
I watched a little bit of his lap. It was more of like a warm up lap. He's kind of just testing the waters, just feeling out the track.
I think some of it was getting on and off the track on the pit road.
Yeah, that's going to be the trickiest thing for him to kind of adjust from how NASCAR getting on and off pit road and into the IndyCar and make sure you hit your marks on IndyCar as opposed to NASCAR because braking system completely different IndyCar than NASCAR.
They also
and obviously
have a button to push where it goes. it won't speed down pit road and things like that.
Yeah, so he's got to get used to that to get in that rhythm. And I think the technical aspects will be the trickiest part for him to adapt. I think the racing part he'll be fine.
Yeah,
Not really worried about that.
Pit stops and getting the car pointed just right for the pit stop. So everything that's doing that. So hopefully he gets some good weather. He can get some actually real practices. I don't think he's really ever done a pit stop.
Do you like how the Indy 500 has like 2 weeks of practicing, or you think it's a little bit of overkill? Or
it used to be a month. I mean, it used to be the whole month of May. It was, and they used to they also used to have about 60 cars. Well, it probably wasn't that many. Probably in the 40s, cars running with it. Cars only ran the Indy 500. That was the only race they would run. So you would see like an hour of practice every day back when we had, Speed TV or whatever it was called, Speed Vision. So
it was on NBC Sports.
Yeah, so I mean, you would see practice almost every day. So it was the whole month of May was all Indy. They used to do the rookie test was before that whole block of racing. So I kind of missed the whole thing, and I kind of miss how they had the way qualifying was with bump day. But like I said, the field of cars is so much smaller, so I understand why they're.
And the cost of everything changes a lot of things too. I mean, I think 2 weeks is a lot, and you'll never see NASCAR have 2 weeks worth of practice for anything. Whether they have 2 hours, if that, anymore. So, but it's neat to see them get ready for the 500, mainly because it starts pumping you up. Because I mean, literally, we could say it's next week we're leaving.
Yeah.
For it, so it's pretty cool in that aspect. So, all right, moving on from IndyCar and all of our pavement stuff, heading into our sprint car segment. Our dirt races this week, recapping High Limit and last night at Kokomo, slicked off so much.
Big time.
It got so slick, and I would argue it's probably the most boring race overall that we've had. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a terrible race, but as much as we've been given this year, how exciting everything's been. Kokomo was the probably the least exciting we had. But I will say the B main that they had, these drivers ran the ever living shit out of it. They were driving it in. They were one went through the fence, so they had to fix the fence. That was a delay in it. But big surprise, Spencer Basic comes out of nowhere, gets a second place finish. So that was really good for that team. Larson's having a little bit of bad luck these last couple of days, so hopefully he gets the bad luck out of his system right now. Flips.
Yeah, it's 2 crashes in a row there for Larson. He's probably a little sore.
Yeah, so he needs to suck it up and be better next week when we're there. But High Limit's been good. 34 Raceway and Tri-City, both really good races as well. Brad Sweet still leads the main point standings, and I think he actually leads the midweek now. Or no, Tyler Courtney might lead the midweek standings. I found out it was 2 different standings now, so I guess 2 different championships you can get for High Limit. So even more money up for grabs. But Sunshine Tyler Courtney gets a big time win, and slick track like that, can't be too surprised that he got it.
Especially he's from Indiana, Kokomo, Indiana track. All Stars ran there. Yeah, that slick tracks does not surprise me how good he was on that one.
And he was the Dice winner person guy thing, whatever.
Oh, he was. I didn't realize.
They rolled a 4 and he started 4. Yeah, they rolled a 4. He started 4th, so he got $2,000, and the fan that rolled it gets $2,000. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Brent Marks did it the night before the race before Tri-City. Brent Marks won.
I believe so. Yeah.
I was off one day. I had him picked the 34 Raceway, and he won Tri-City. So.
Yeah. But yeah, another good weekend of racing there in the High Limit Series. So let's preview what they got this week. Ironically, they're going. I think I say this every single year. I said it for All-Star last year, but they're going to Outlaw. The High Limit's going to Outlaw Speedway. So it's
in New York.
So yeah. So and they go to Utica as well this weekend. So talk about these 2 tracks.
Yeah. So Outlaw Speedway. They call it a 4/10 semi-banked oval. Semi-bank means it's pretty flat.
Yeah.
The one thing, New York, they run modified. So these tracks have really, really wide corners. it's like double what you'd see on like a normal sprint car track. Those big old buses are just so damn wide. So they have it's wide, it's slick. I was watching the All-Star race from last year. It had a really bad rut in the corners. Those guys were hitting that and really screwing up.
Well, we've seen that on some of the tracks this year.
Yeah.
Adds a little bit of excitement.
So this one's going to be. Don't seem like they get much of a cushion. I think these may be slightly boring races. I think it's going to be a lot like Kokomo, where it's going to kind of be one lane around the bottom by the time you get there. But hey, I mean, the weather's been so screwed up. Track could be heavy and could be completely wrong on that one. But that's
yeah. And they're racing just one night there, so one night could make a huge difference. And I don't know if there's racing.
It's 12 miles north of Watkins Glen in the Finger Lakes region. So I was up there when I was a kid in the Finger Lakes. That's a pretty part of the country up there. So it's up in New York pretty far. It could be cold.
Well, I'm pretty certain that there's a certain driver not racing in it this weekend or any of the races this week. I think he's kind of focused on IndyCar.
I hope he's not.
Yeah, I don't think he is. Well, you got Indy qualifying on Saturday. You still got Indy practice Friday, and you got Saturday and Sunday Indy qualifying. But I mean, if it rains, shoot, he might be like, screw it, I guess I'll fly out there. But they might not even bring the rig.
I wouldn't think so.
Might just let those guys have off. But yeah, just looking at the point standings real quick. Like I sasaid, Brad Sweet has the regular season's points lead by
71.
About 40 points now. 31 points. I can't do math.
I thought it said 71.
He's got 1,028, and Tyler Courtney's got 997. The midweek money series, Tyler Courtney actually has a 32-point lead over Brad Sweet.
Oh, where I got the 71.
Spencer Basin, he shows up on these midweek money series. He's third place right now for that.
I see that.
That's kind of a a surprise for everybody. But and talk about Utica before we give our picks.
Yeah, Utica Rome Speedway and my autocorrect went off. It says Lemon, New York, but that's not where it's from. Now this is a little bigger track. This is a half mile, and again, modified country, real wide corners, very dusty. The lights suck, can't see shit. And interesting enough, local racer Denny Varon smoked the field last year, tight against the bottom, held off challenges from Tyler Courtney.
Was that an all-star race last year?
Yeah, it was an all-star race last year. But, hats off. That was his first, I guess, national event win, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, maybe we can get him on the show.
Yeah, heck, why not? But that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to actually, have no idea who he is. And it was one of those things like, you know what? I'll root for him. Why not? And he ended up won the dash, led every lap.
Is this the track where the camera's like kind of backwards and it shows the actual front stretch and not the back stretch?
Oh, I don't know. All I remember, I was just watching the video, and it's like it's so dark, so dusty, you can hardly even see.
It might be that one. Well, that kind of previews a little bit going the first Outlaw race that we'll preview here in a second too. Dusty, you can't see crap. Let's give our picks for High Limit then. They don't have any midweek or anything until the end of next week, which is Tuscarora week. So not Tuscarora, the Bob Weichert Memorial.
Yeah.
So let's.
Win that one.
Yeah, that's a big time one. Yeah, that's.
My pick Thursday for Outlaw Speedway, I have Corey Day on this one, and for Friday, I'm going to take the low hanging fruit and pick Brad Sweet.
All right. Well, the first one at Outlaw, the guy I kind of was touching on and very surprised and got second place. I'm gonna just kind of go out on a limb here. I'm going with Spencer Baston.
It's not that far of a limb, man. I can tell you that.
Well, it's as far as a limb because it seems hard to beat Brad Sweet lately. But and then Utica Rome, I've got Buddy Kofoid.
There's another one that's just right there.
Yep, and it seems like a lot of drivers are just right there and could be getting a win here in the near future. But I mean, it's still tough because you got all these drivers you got to beat. You got Tyler Courtney, Brad Sweet, Corey Day. He's one of the favorites anymore.
Rico.
And Rico's been
Brent Marks.
quiet.
I mean,
Rico's been very quiet lately, so you might see him once it starts getting hot and slick. Coming
the
to
few
win.
in the high limit that have surprised me and they're struggling a little bit. Justin Peck's won. He was running a little better last week.
Yeah,
Zeb Wise has really been struggling. That's
big time. He really has.
And Chris Wyndham has just not been good this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, the World of Outlaws, they are heading to Ohio this week. First at Attica and Sharon, so definitely two different racetracks here. Attica, as we always call it, the dusty shithole, but it puts on really good races.
Yeah, I was going to say it's super dry, super dusty. Like I said, here's my exact notes. But the shitty conditions generally make for a good race.
You won't be able to see
Can't
shit from the
see,
stands. You can't even see it from the TV. They need to get a
You
drone
can't
or
see it
something.
from the infield. It's been that way since the 80s when I was there. Like, we were standing in the infield, you don't hardly see the cars going by. It was like, was that us? Oh, hell, I don't know.
But damn, the drivers love it. The
I can
drivers
just hear
love
the
it.
piston rings wearing out in those engines. Oh,
The drivers love racing at this track, and they put on great shows year in, year out. So why would you change anything?
no, it's, and like I said, it puts on a good show. It'll probably be multiple grooves, and that's all you can ask for.
And it doesn't get too slick to the point where it's just not any good racing. I mean, you're gonna have a couple grooves, like you said. It
doesn't normally get rubber down.
No, and you're gonna have probably a good cushion the outside, especially 3 and 4. Of what I remember last year, that was a big time advantage if you could run that cushion. So, and then Sharon Speedway, owned by the Blaneys, that's definitely nothing like this the previous track. So it's a little bit different.
It's generally pretty fast early in the night. Sharon's usually very smooth. It can get slick, but it does have a tendency to start laying rubber down in the bottom groove. So that's one thing to kind of watch.
And that's what Dave Blaney was. He might have won this race or one of these races last year.
He won one of the. I almost picked Dave Blaney.
I don't know if it was I don't know if it was All-Star or Outlaw that he won it, but I remember he was the only one that was able to run the bottom like that and just get around there, just keep it just nice and smooth, slowly but surely made it to the front. All right, well, let's give our picks for the Outlaws, Attica and Sharon.
For Attica being just so slick, I have Donnie shots for that one. And then for Sharon, you know what? I'm just going to change my pick. I'm going to go with an Ohio racer. I'm going to put Sheldon Hodgkill.
Son of a bitch! Why'd you have to change it? I have the exact same.
Yeah, literally, I was like,
I have the same picks. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I literally the same logic as you were using Shots and Sheldon. Yeah, because Attica, it's not exactly the same, but I mean, it kind of reminds me of the kind of the way you would drive Knoxville and everything. Not as dusty, obviously. Knoxville's not as dusty, but I think Shots can get
a very technical track to keep your car nice and straight when it's that.
Well, these guys are definitely sorry, guys. You guys are definitely crashing.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Sheldon's mom's favorite, so we'll pick. She gets all excited when Sheldon wins one. So
it's kind of random. I mean, it's a neat car. I like the car. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that does it for this week. And we'll give our stuff for next week, but look out for next week, guys, as well. We got to figure out some of the technicalities and see if we have signal at the track. Hopefully they have free Wi-Fi we can use.
I don't know. We're so far out in the freaking boonies where we're parking. We're going to be lucky.
We'll see. Somebody's going to have internet, so we'll try to figure something out. We'll try to do a live stream from the track right outside of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're going to try to do it pretty early in the morning because we've got to get into the track probably around 10 or 11 their time, because I think it actually starts at 11:30 on their time.
That means drinking's going to be for breakfast.
It's liquid beer. So got to scrambled eggs and
grab some drunk bastards from the tailgate beside us and get them on the show, see what they got to say.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Well, if you guys didn't get to tune in last year's Memorial Day, and you're able to this time, it'll be a fun time. Probably some beer chugs happening in it. So make sure you tune in for that.
Boring ass Monaco on though, but
well, I might have it on my phone, but we'll see. Yeah. All right. Well, make sure you guys follow anywhere you get your podcast and follow all social media platforms. Share the YouTube channel as we continue to try to find different special guests for bonus episodes. So possibly some stuff coming up in the works for you guys. So we'll let you know, and stay tuned for all that stuff. But we will give our Memorial Day weekend preview next week, and then hopefully tie into our live show. So until then, we will see you then.
All right, it's Indy time. Let's go.